Alrighty, welcome back. Another episode of Post-Fades and Cheesesteaks. Not a good one. We have coming off an Eagles loss. So a little frustrating day yesterday for sure. This team is a bit confusing, but
L- Look
Tim
terrible.
Tim's back with me this week. And I would let's just right off the bat though, quick condolences to Kebe Mutombo passed away today. He had brain cancer. That sucks. Age 58.
Yeah, I wouldn't want
Um,
that.
and then Pete Rose also passed away today, age of 83. Wild day for sports deaths, unfortunately. But
Two culture icons. I mean, Pete Rose, obviously incredible baseball player, will always have his legacy with gambling, say what you want, but
yeah.
he was an incredible player. Mutombo,
Mhm.
I can't think of an athlete who obviously I don't know him, but he's very
Oh
humble in the
yeah.
way he acts. But he was so well known for just a celebration. Like the finger wag is so just the swagger to do that is almost like you gotta have some balls for the most humble man in the world, and he would just hit you with the finger wag. Like, how do you even get mad at that? He's just like joyfully telling you, go away. Very,
Finger
very cool.
finger wag is up there with like like Kobe and like
Oh yeah.
hitting
It's
a
like one of the coolest, coolest celebrations there is.
yeah. But yeah, I think was it Joel Embiid had a he was quoted saying he was like he looked up to him a lot. Said he's one of the guys that I looked up to as far as having an impact, not just on the court but off the court. He's done a lot of great things. He did a lot of great things for a lot of people, and he was a big role model of mine. It's a sad day. So yeah, he was
Pour one out there.
definitely Yeah, humble is a perfect word for him, which is funny because of how much of a defensive presence he was.
Yeah.
But
2001 Sixer great.
him and AI on that finals team. But
That's a shame. Yeah, well, RIP to two legends. Now let's move on to the Eagles and how much I hate this
all
team.
right. I don't even know where to start. Let's start on the defense, I guess. Um, so we went from, week 1 and 2, like, all right, it's early, they got to make some adjustments. And then week 3, you're like, oh, maybe they figured it out. And they played it phenomenal. And then week 4 comes around, and for whatever reason, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have been an absolute thorn in the Eagles' side. Like, for no reason. It's not like they've been world beaters, but
Yeah.
they can't seem to beat them. I think they beat them in the regular season last year and then got stomped in the playoffs, got stomped
Yeah.
again this past week.
The
And
Buccaneers coming off a Broncos loss. The same Buccaneers. This is who we got
The Broncos
stomped
are a
by.
weird team. But
Yeah, but I mean, it's this is a bad, ugly, ugly, ugly loss.
yeah, it's Grant, like I in the moment I was furious, and I think I might have been a little overreaction after the game, but even still, like I get it offensively, like you have a lot of injuries, but defensively, you are almost fully healthy. I know Reed went out, but he was looking rough out there,
Yeah, I mean,
and CJ's been garbage, and he finally admitted that he needs to be better.
yeah.
Slay is playing like an old man. I love him. I have his jersey, so I always, wish the best for him to continue being a great corner. But he's definitely lost a step. You can't keep up with some of these wide receivers. Quinyon Mitchell is like the only bright spot, and he
Yeah.
had another great pass break up in the end zone. Let's stop a touchdown, and then Jalen Carter was getting doubled this game, but like Baker was getting the ball out so fast, and they were all these short middle of the field passes that he didn't even get a chance to rush.
He
So
was moving around the pocket, no problem at all. Baker was perfectly fine.
and that line they
Did,
they gave up 12 sacks in the last 2 games, and we only got them twice.
yeah, we don't get pressure in general. I think, I mean, you hit it on the head. this defense is weird. It's been up and down this season. Week one, they were this incredibly strong defense that kept the Packers out of the end zone after the offense was just turning it over nearly every other drive.
Yeah,
Very impressive. Week two, they couldn't stop Kirk Cousins to save them life on a final drive that cost them the game. To completely disappear, just vanished, nowhere to be found. Week three, they take a team that's been crushing everyone, score 90 points in the first 2 weeks, and hold them to what, 10 points, whatever that final score was.
Hmm.
They didn't have a touchdown until I think the end of the third quarter. And then this week, they just get completely bushwhacked. This
Yeah,
was pathetic in every aspect. They couldn't tackle, they couldn't cover, they got no pressure at all. And I mean, we'll get to the offense, but like I'm definitely more worried about the defense because you're
for
right.
sure.
Like the defense isn't missing Lane Johnson or Devontae Smith or AJ Brown. Everyone is there. The problem
Hmm.
is what you have on the field, your defense that can't stop Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans is the same defense you're going to play this entire season with. You know,
Yeah,
you need edge rushers. You need guys like Bryce Huff to find his soul and show up. Because I still think he's dead. I'm still convinced that this is a weekend at
he's
Bernie's
still
kind
laying
of
on
thing.
the
He's just
ground.
dead. I'm just convinced that he's dead, and they're just keeping him around. I mean, like Brandon Graham consistently looks like your best edge rusher.
Insane.
Looks like your best defensive lineman. Jalen Carter, comes and goes when he wants to. Jordan Davis. The reason you can double Jalen Carter is because Jordan Davis doesn't do anything. He's just a waste of space. Literally does nothing.
He played
Brings
well
nothing exciting.
against the Saints and then went back to his
Listen, everyone
regularly
played it well
scheduled
against the
programming.
Saints. Yeah, and then they all came. What am I supposed to say? Oh, it was hot out. What does that matter?
And everyone was
Dude,
finally on the Nakobe Dean train after the first three games. And then he missed so many tackles this game, flying
it was all
around.
of them.
There was, I think it was Ray Didinger said he counted when he rewatched the game, he counted 18 missed tackles.
Oh, it was pathetic.
18 missed tackles.
I lost count on how many times Baker we had him 5 years, 5 yards, 6 yards, whatever it
No,
was
5 years is
behind.
right. 5 years.
Three guys literally have him like arms on him, and he's just breaking out. Like I know Baker's a little mobile, but this guy isn't like Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen. Bring him down.
They just
There should
played.
not be that tough.
They played very soft. I think it was. I mean, even people were saying leading up to it, like it was a little bit of a trap game because you're going in with all these injuries and you're traveling down to Tampa. It was like real feel was like 110 degrees. Players were like vomiting on the sidelines. I'm just like, what? This is just not. Granted, they did almost come back, but again, they shot
No,
themselves in
they
the foot.
didn't. No, they didn't. They were never coming back. I mean, listen, I'm with you.
I mean, they were
I lied to
driving. They were
myself.
about to make it a one score
Nah,
game, and then they
I lied to
fumbled.
myself too. I lied to myself as well and thought they were going to come back. They were never coming back. I mean, even if they scored there, like there was nothing the defense showed you that they were
Right.
going to stop the
I
Buccaneers
agree.
that
Yeah.
day. I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong. I was with you. I lied to myself. I was like, oh, we got that blocked extra point. We're going to do well.
It
But
was
no.
electric.
Looking back on it, I realized they were never in that game. Mike Evans was unguardable. Not even like, let me slow him down. He could have done whatever the hell he wanted. The Buccaneers, I'm still convinced, aren't very good. Do you know how many drop passes they had? They
Oh
were
yeah.
giving it to you on a platter.
Dropped.
They could not stop dropping passes. They would have scored 4 touchdowns had they just caught the ball. I mean,
Yeah.
these guys were wide open in their hands. That's how bad our coverage was. Is they gave up 33 points and they probably should have given up another 21. It was pathetic. Just everyone was just getting worked. Edge, the pass rush didn't exist. Linebackers couldn't make tackles, and no one could cover. Darius Slay got completely exposed. I mean,
Mm.
one on one, mano a mano, wide receiver one, quarterback, cornerback one game. Slay was getting abused. Mike Evans could do literally whatever the hell he wanted.
I don't understand why they don't let the corners play like press or like some kind of closer coverage than this 8 yards off the receiver because it's clearly not working and there's no pass rush, so there's too much time. So I just every
Oh,
team,
that's right there.
every all 4 games this year, I think except for the Packers, because I feel like they went deep a little more often. But most of the teams we played so far have killed us in the middle of the field through short passes. And the Bucks didn't even run the ball. We knew what they were doing and we couldn't stop them. Like that is Vanjo did not adjust until halftime. And then like Baker was like almost unstoppable up until halftime. And then afterwards, he was a little more human, but he was still moving the ball. Um, But yeah, I mean, to get torched by him is just, I think
No,
he's
it was
fine. He's a
ugly.
fine starter, but he's not like a guy that should be putting up 360, 40, whatever it was, yards on you.
He looked
And
like Big Ben. Like we couldn't tackle him, even though the guy's half the size of Roethlisberger. They would not go down. We could. Like, I think part of the reason coverage wise, like they're playing 8 yards off, is they know they can't get any pressure. You
mm,
press a guy
well,
and he runs right past you. They're screwed.
it's the dumbest. I probably said this before. As someone who likes watching defense and grew up being a defensive player in like every sport, because normally I sucked on offense and scoring, but the whole bend but don't break. We're not going to give anything over the top defense, but we're going to let you march down the field, do whatever you want. I hate it. I would rather the defense blitz, take chances, try to, confuse the offense instead of sitting back and just say, "Oh, well, we're just not going to get beat over the top." Okay, but you're going to give up. They're going to get enough yards in 3 plays to get a first down because you're giving up all this cushion. So by the time you stop them, they're already at the 10-yard line ready to score a touchdown. Like it just doesn't
Yeah.
work. And we've seen it for like the last 3 years now. That it's a dumb
Fangio
scheme.
looks like he's just trying to stick his like a round peg in a square hole. Like he has a scheme, and I don't think Fangio is a bad coordinator. I think when he went into this season, he thought I have a roster that my system can work around, but they're just underperforming so much, and I don't see any adjustments. The same thing is happening. Like you said, it's the same soft coverage, it's the same non-blitzing four-man fronts. And they're just getting worked because they can't do anything. The pass rush is hurting the secondary. The secondary can't hold enough to offset the abysmal pass rush. And I thought the linebackers, who I would say has been the best unit so far this year, were like had the worst game by far this past season or the this past week. And
Let's
where's your bright spot?
Mitchell,
Sure. I mean, if you want Quinion
Mitchell
Mitchell to
and
be your bright
Bond.
spot, go ahead. Yeah, I mean that's if that's who we thought was going to be the bright spot with all these first round draft picks, all this big veteran money, free agents, and everything in between, then we got bigger problems.
So let's do a quick little gauge meter here. So I'll say we'll do sizzling or cooked. So if I'll say a player's name, you tell me if they're sizzling, which means they're not doing great now, but you think they're going to improve as the season goes on, or cooked as in like we've seen the best that they'll do. They're either going to get worse or not get any better.
Okay,
All right. Jalen Carter.
you know what? I'm going to have to say Sizzlin. I still, you know what pisses me off is how many times do you hear an announcer say like he's one of the best D linemen in football?
Well,
What are you watching? Like,
PFF said he was the number one ranked D tackle, D lineman, I think, going into this game. So
I mean, for sure. I mean, 2 games he looks great. The other two, it's
yeah,
not. It's like
disappeared.
he's not even there. Yeah, it's. I'd like to see a little more consistency, but he's not going anywhere. I still think
Yeah,
he's got a
I think he's going to get better.
upside to him. I
I
just
think
I don't like hearing anything good about the Eagles defense. I refuse to hear it. I want more hatred.
Bryce Huff.
I'm still convinced he's dead. How can he like get better when I'm convinced he's
But
dead?
he's char. He's so burnt. He's not even edible
He's just
anymore.
weekend at Bernie's. He just shows up there. He's if all right, better question for you. Say Bryce Huff just wasn't part of the rotation anymore. How long would it take you to realize that he didn't actually even play?
I wouldn't even notice.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, every once in a while I see Nolan Smith being blocked. So
I want to see
yeah,
Jalex Hunt getting some reps. I want to see fucking suit up Devin White. I don't know what's going on with him. Suit him up and make him rush the fucking quarterback. He's too busy tweeting about, his old teammate getting a sack and not as we're playing that
yeah, I don't know
team.
what's going on with that. I don't get what. But you know what? I actually, like I said, I think the linebackers have been the best group. Not that there's been tough competition amongst the
Yeah,
defense, but
well,
I don't really think we need. I think. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it is. I guess Bryce Hoff is strictly a rotational guy. You bring him in every 2 or 3 plays and see what he does. But man, they got to do something because maybe you play him less. Maybe you play him like the Jets do. Maybe you start Hunt. Maybe Smith gets more reps. Maybe Graham's out there a little more. I don't know what you do, but maybe you just bump this big free agent signing down to a pass rusher on third down only. Because I mean, I don't see where he gets better.
Brandon Graham is like that guy who you're like in school and he joins like a group project at the last minute. He's like, "Oh yeah, I can help out here and there," and then it ends up like he ends up getting all of the work because no one else is doing anything. That's literally Brandon Graham. He was just gonna take a back seat, rush here and there, be a captain, and now he's fucking the only player doing any pass rushing because everyone else
See,
sucks.
put Bryce Huff in the Brandon Graham role and just be like, listen, Brandon, you're here one more year. You're going to start. We're going to put you out there as many snaps as we want. Everyone else sucks.
It's bad. But all right. What about no gloves, Nolan Smith?
Man, he's another one. I really don't. I haven't seen anything from him to make me think he's going to do anything.
He looks raw, but like at this like what's 2 years now or 3 years? I don't know how when we drafted him,
It was
but
coming in this second season.
second season,
Yeah, he's
I
coming into his
think.
second season.
He just doesn't look like he
He doesn't look good.
knows what he's
He
doing.
is very raw. I'm gonna say it takes him another year. Listen, I'm being
Another
optimistic. Say it
year.
takes
Oh, God.
takes him another year to figure out how to play football. So that definitely means he's cooked right now.
Now that you had to play football and he's basically starting for us. Okay. Um, big man Jordan Davis.
Cooked. I'm done with that. And you know what?
Sad.
I said this before the season started. This is a big year for Howie. No one wants to admit it because we all love his drafts on the day. Like, oh, Howie did great. Picked every Georgia, every Alabama guy. Got DeGene in the second. Somehow got Jordan Davis. Picked Nolan Smith in the last first. Like those are not looking like great picks now.
I would have thought that if I got to play with all my college teammates, we would have a lot more chemistry and a lot more success. But I feel like this Georgia project is not working so far.
I'll make the argument if Justin Jefferson got picked 5 picks later or 1 or 2 picks ahead of Jalen Reagor, you would be saying Jordan Davis is the worst pick than Jalen Reagor. And I think it would be an easy argument. They traded up. He was a top 13 pick or top 11 pick, whatever he was. They traded up to get him. And he's a body you put out there. He doesn't make plays. He just shows up. Yeah, Reagor sucks. Maybe Jordan Davis isn't as bad as Reagor, but if it wasn't for Justin Jefferson, I think Jordan Davis would give him a little more hate.
Um, what was I about to say? I forget now.
They're cooked. I
Um,
don't know who it is, but they're cooked.
yeah.
They all
Basically,
stink.
honestly, yeah, everyone. Oh, CJ Garner Johnson.
I'll say Sizzle.
I'm
I don't
sizzling.
think he comes back. I mean, he's a veteran there. But you know what? You know what the bigger problem is? I'm leaning more towards this defense is what I saw against the Bucks and what I saw Kirk Cousins run through on the final drive of that Falcons game than it is this strong Saints defense or the one that kept the Packers out of the end zone. I think they're closer to the bad version than they are to the good version.
Yeah,
Because
unfortunately.
you have so many holes on this defense. You don't have a single edge rusher that you can count on.
Nope.
Your linebackers are fine. I'm starting to get tired of Reed. I think Reed is really rough. He can't tackle to save his damn life. I'm like, I don't know,
He just
man. DeGene,
flies. He flies to the
he
ball
just
a
runs
little too
around. Yeah, he just
recklessly.
runs around. That's all he does. He just runs around, does the same wraparound whiplash, and flies right off the guy. You never see Ray Blankenship make a tackle. You see him all over the place. He's constantly all over. He's like, oh, we're White Lightning is all over the field. But he never actually tackles anyone.
White Ed
He
Reed.
just he just wraps them up. Sometimes you're like, all right, cool, you slowed the guy down, but you don't actually bring anyone down. He
I
stinks.
think that's a little unfair. I think he's played fine, but I think he had a bad game this against Tampa.
This
Um,
game, I make an argument this was one of her better games. I thought he was worse than the other ones.
nah, I don't know. But I remember what I was going to say. I don't know if you watched the Bills Ravens game Sunday night, but I pretty much just broke down in tears when I saw Kyle Hamilton, bust through blockers to make a backfield tackle because we could have had him, but we wanted to take Jordan Davis instead. So
Hey, you know what? Say what you want about a regular, but we traded up to go get Davis, and it was in the top
we
13.
could have had we could have had Justin Jefferson, one of the best receivers in the league, and Kyle Hamilton, one of the best safeties in the league, but we ended up with two bums.
I'm still convinced that Howie was thought he was smart when with his football picks, like these, I think a Whiteside, Rager, we're going to use him this way and that way and something or another. And now he's like, I know nothing about football. I'm just going to pick big name players at places that I can get value. He just sees them fall and he's like, oh, that's someone that everyone keeps telling me to pick. Let me go get him. But there's no like actual scouting or anything. He just
Now,
gets whoever people are telling him to draft. Whoever Mel Kiper wants, that's who he goes and drafts.
one thing that we haven't hit on, and something that people I feel like don't talk about at all is, yes, the players aren't playing well, but how many times is that a product of poor coaching, poor preparation, poor training in the off season to get these players where they have to be? I mean, you look at some of these teams like that have been able to, weather the storm of injuries because they have good coaching, or they're able to maximize these no-name players and they just pop off. Like that Mason running back in San Francisco was like almost a league leading in rushing, and he came out
Well,
of nowhere.
yeah.
And
I mean, if you want to look at it in that way, take a guy like Jordan Davis. This is his third year, I believe. So
yeah.
he's had three different defensive coordinators in 3 years.
Hmm.
So sure, if you want to take that route, fine. But for as bad as he is, I mean, even when Gannon was here, and sheesh, man, the days I
You
can't believe
know,
I'm saying this. I miss
Gannon,
Gannon.
I miss Gannon. His defense was the most watchable at this point.
If myself from 2 years ago could have known that I miss Gannon, I'd
Oh man.
vomit. But like even when Gannon was here, who we'll say is a compatible defense coordinator because we had two bums last year. Like Jordan Davis wasn't good then either. He was completely out of shape. So we gave him a pass because he's fat and out of shape. Second year, he didn't do anything,
Yeah.
but the whole defense sucked. So we let it slide. This year, he doesn't do anything.
Hmm.
I don't know. Maybe we still want to blame that he's out of shape. Maybe he's still learning. I don't know. But
I don't know.
the defensive line coach is new. I know you mentioned this before from Seattle. I'm seeing nothing from that position. Zero. A guy like Nolan
He's a
Smith
big
who's
dude. He
raw.
might need to start like suiting up and getting out there because somebody needs to start providing
I
some
mean, a guy
pressure.
like Nolan Smith and Jordan Davis both need coaching. They're both raw, but they both need coaching. Bryce Huff maybe needs a medic instead of coaching, but I'm sure it could help too.
Priest.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
before
brutal, man.
before we touch on the offense, like what the hell happened to special teams? We had our punt returner got run into twice. Once by his own player, the other time his own teammate pushed another player in to him, causing a fumble, which also like any momentum the Eagles could have possibly had to respond to the Bucks scoring again was wiped away with that. That was almost the game right there. Like it's so frustrating. Like nothing was going
Yeah.
right. Stupid
And then they block an
penalties.
extra point. Take it all the way.
Yeah, sure, but I don't know. And then Isaiah Rogers after the game was like, "Oh, I thought I was making a savvy veteran move because that's a
No,
penalty
Isaiah.
for the other guy." I was
No.
like, "No, you literally pushed. That's illegal. What are you
Yeah,
doing?
no.
Savvy move for who?"
Yeah, that's well, I guess to be fair, he
Uh,
did block the extra point, so I guess we'll give him credit.
no, no,
He's
no.
not a bad special team player, he just doesn't know the rules.
So we have players who don't know how to play football and players who don't know the rules. So what is this team? What is this team doing?
Poorly coached. All right, I think we can move on from the defense.
All right.
Before we hit on the offense, man, Sirianni they look awful, man. They look constantly unprepared. This team just looks lost
I
on
don't
both
I
sides of the
don't
ball.
I don't
You
get
brought
it.
up the thing with, like, you want to look at night and day? Look at what the Niners do compared to us.
Yeah.
Because the Niners had holdouts, the Niners have injuries, but the
Hmm.
Niners still look like they're a functioning good football team. Like they haven't made a fallen backward step. The Eagles can't afford anything but perfection. They can't afford having guys hold out. They can't afford to have guys hurt because otherwise they
Hmm.
fall apart. Because no one can be put into a position that they're not expected to be in and do anything. The coordinators look like they just run whatever system they want to with no actual purpose or meaning. The team just looks disarrayed. Like offense does its own thing over here, and you better hope that your superstars are playing because the other bums aren't going to do anything. You got no hope. Defense, you don't know what the hell they're doing. It looks like defensive line has one plan. The secondary has a plan over there. The linebackers run around doing whatever they want. There's just no cohesion. This is a poorly coached team, and it's so evident. And it becomes more evident when you see this team struggle because they fell on their face and collapsed last year. You would think this year they were going to come out hot, come out strong, have a game plan, be ready to go. But no, they look like closer to themselves from last year than they do this new team we were banking on.
I, to be fair. when Sirianni was hired, I feel like we all thought that he was just going to be like a puppet, like he was going to be maybe a bridge coach, because we were like, who the hell is this guy? He doesn't seem that impressive. But you brought in some strong coordinators. Well, at least Steichen we thought was strong. Gannon was a little iffy because he was so young.
Hey, we miss Gannon.
But he was that bright mind we had to have.
To be
Um,
fair, I miss him. I miss him a lot.
I mean, how many episodes did we do of you calling him, Rich Gannon?
I take everything back I said about him. Everything back. It only took a season of Desai and Patricia, and
And a
I
sprinkle
don't
of
know.
of the
I don't
current
even know.
defense.
I blame this more on the players than I do the coach.
I don't know. I feel like it's it just doesn't make sense. Like what is wrong? Like I can't tell you what's wrong with this team. It's all execution. So is that a coaching thing? Is that a players, actually just I mean, on one hand you have Jalen rolling out, throwing to a wide open Saquon Barkley, and he throws it out of bounds. Then you have another
Hmm.
play, Jalen throws a beautiful ball to Goddard, whoever it was, and he just drops it right in his hands. And
Yeah.
I'm like, why can't we have nice things? Like, what is wrong with this team that there's never any consistency, there's never any rhythm, there's never any execution that's just, sustained throughout the game. They don't sustain anything. And then they're playing down. They've never scored a point in the first quarter this year. I
Yeah.
don't I don't know.
Plus everything, I mean, the coaching, I mean, Sirianni's very easy to hate and very easy to want to fire.
When
This
they're
team,
winning, he's a good guy. When they're losing, he doesn't have the right answers and he just looks like he's lost. So,
I got to be honest. I feel like when he came out, obviously they went to the Super Bowl. I think it was his second year with the
yes,
team, so we were all new with him. He immediately found success, this and that. I
very
feel like if
Doug
they get
VP.
good again and he starts doing the meme stuff and the head wobble and doing whatever he wants, I don't even know if people are going to buy in. I feel like they're just so burnt out and tired of it as a shtick that even if they're winning, they won't buy into it because we've seen the last two seasons that we think Sirianni is more of this shtick meme, not very smart coach instead of an actual coach that can rally up his team, get a cohesive game plan each week, and make adjustments as needed. Because I don't see this team ever make adjustments. We never do anything. We just
Mm-mm.
run with the same problems because
That's coaching.
defensively, everything falls apart as in, and stays that broken system throughout the game. Offense, the offense is just like cannot do anything. You get one big play from Saquon a game, which is more of just Saquon just
He's
being
just
Saquon.
he needs to get the ball. He's averaging like 6 yards a carry right now. He needs to get the ball more.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's on the coaching, but I'll tell you, defense's problems. Bryce Huff is probably dead. Jordan Davis is a bust. Secondary looks lost. Sirianni, man, I think we're always ready to fire him every single week.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what I think is the biggest problem, and I'm very, very worried about this. But this is the very obvious biggest problem. The biggest problem for this team is definitely. I mean, we thought it last year. I was one of the optimistic people that said no, it'll figure it out. Jalen is a massive problem. He looks lost. I see more of Carson Wentz than I do
Mm,
2022 Jalen when I watch him. And now, sure, the offense is missing a lot of parts, but he has zero awareness. He's
yeah.
missing passes constantly. Like, even if your team is hurt, are you going to tell me that for Jalen Hurts to be good, he needs of two all-pro Pro Bowl wide receivers. He needs a Hall of Fame center. He needs a Hall of Fame right guard. He needs a Pro Bowl left tackle. He needs a Pro Bowl left guard. And he needs an all pro running back. Is that what you're telling me he needs to succeed? Because I've seen him succeed once and he had all that. But is that what it takes? Like, is there like because injuries have been happening and he's looked rough. And AJ Brown was out last week, but you know what? Smith and Lane, I get it. They left the Saints game when they got hurt, but it didn't look like it was any good when they were in there. The
No.
Falcons game didn't look good either, and Brown was the one missing there. Like, is he just? He's not capable of doing anything when the offensive players around him aren't absolute superstars. Look at like, I mean, no one's Mahomes, but Mahomes takes whatever ragtag squad you got and he goes and wins. Josh Allen is, they got their ass handed to them, but they were looking pretty good this season with no man guys. Like CJ Stroud, I think made Tank Dell and Nico Collins better. Matthew Stafford, before Puka showed up, there was Cooper Cup and he was very injury prone, a couple other guys. Like other players, big time, big money quarterbacks, the way they win is you gave them all the money in the world, of course, but they have to take up a certain part of your cap space that you can't use that on other plays around them. But it doesn't matter. If you have a $50 million quarterback, they should not need two all pro wide receivers, Hall of Famers on the offensive line, and an all pro running back to succeed. It's just simple. Otherwise, you have a very average quarterback who can't do it. I'm seeing Sam Darnold be reborn in front of my eyes.
Sam
Sure,
Darnold
he's got Justin
has
Jefferson, but he doesn't have all these other pieces.
he's got 11 touchdowns already.
Like, you just need to see more from Jalen. Like, I'm seeing it more. He gets more exposed when players are hurt around him. Are you telling me we can't make a big play without your two superstar wide receivers? Is that really what it comes down to? Because then I have real concerns about Kellen Moore's offense. Because every single drive they have is 14, 15-yard plays. Takes up a ton of time. And sure, that worked for us before, but that was when you were scoring. It's nearly a fumble half the time, like it was this past game. He's got no vision, no awareness. The only time he actually moves the ball efficiently nowadays is when he starts using his legs. It's so
It's
painful, man. The fumbles, I cannot keep doing these fumbles. There's zero awareness fumbles. Like, it's not like, oh, dude just broke through, beat Jordan Mailata off the ball, and just took Hurts from behind. It's not like, hell, it's not like he just dropped the ball. The muff snap, whatever, I would live with that. But like, it's just, I have no awareness of what's around me. I'm holding this ball so long because I'm not going to give it up, or I'm not just going to run for it, or I'm rolling out to the side of the pocket, just putting everything behind me and I can't see it. I'm going to get hit and not have any clue it's coming. And then I fumble the ball. He has zero protection of the football, and it's going to kill them. Because even if you have A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, the line is healthy, this and that, like, you're still, Jalen's still got to be aware enough not to fumble the ball, which he just doesn't seem like he has any clue what is going on around him in the pocket. Bad rollouts. No, like, dude, hold on to the ball. Two hands. You're a strong dude. Just keep two hands on the ball. Oh, it's
he
infuriating.
2020, his rookie year, Jalen had 6 turnovers. 2020, he had 11. 2022, his MVP almost year, 8 turnovers. He has 7 so far this year. And then last year, he had 20.
Brutal. Yeah, I
52
mean,
career turnovers in 4 seasons. Well, five.
you want to say like I get week one is week one, but that was when the whole offense was healthy. AJ Brown was there. He had plenty of turnovers in that game too. Find whatever game you want, and it's a guarantee. Jalen Hurts to turn the ball over in every single game. I
Yeah,
think most of them, I off the top of my head, I think one of them he didn't have multiple, but pretty much
and
every three of those games he had multiple. I think the Falcons he only had one.
I think 3 of the turnovers this year have been in the red zone, which is
Even
unacceptable.
worse. Yep. And you know what? It's on these big long drives.
Which
Every single one of them is in the red zone or big long drives, and that's where your awareness comes in. You are in the red zone, man. If it's not there, you are in field goal range. Just get the ball out of your hand, throw it away, take the
that's
field goal. I mean,
that,
he's saying with some of these sacks, man, he's got some Carson Wentz sacks. You are in the red zone. The only thing you can't do is take a sack that takes you out of field goal range or turn the ball over. Just get the ball out of your hands or run it. Now, granted, if it's 4th and 4, who the hell knows? Sirianni probably goes for it because he wants to look macho and machismo and think that he's going to look like a smart coach because he goes to 4th down every other snap. But like, the awareness isn't there. Like, dude, the drive is going. It's always I can't think of a time when Hurts fumbled the ball and we weren't in field goal range. Every single time, it's like we're in field goal range. Like, you're giving up points every single time. Just get the ball out of your hands or run. Take the field goals. Think of how many games we won if we just took field goals. It's not a bad thing when your offense is struggling. You got all these guys hurt. Just take points in any way you can.
and I feel like with Jalen, these are very correctable things. But we've been saying for like the last 2 years now, get rid of the ball, get rid of the ball. What did we say when Carson was here? Get rid of the ball, get rid of the ball. I don't know
Yep.
what it is, if it's a lack of like having like a real proper QB coach or whatever, but like how does he how does he get to this point where he thinks holding on to the ball for 10 seconds is a good idea? And Jalen is not he's not I still think he is the reason you're in a lot of games too, but he just has to play so much better. And even if he gets no turnovers in a game, like the chance of us winning is so much higher, even if he doesn't play great.
Oh my God. We would
Like
have won every game had he not turned over the ball. That's what really kills you is he has a good drive. He'll use his legs, he makes some plays. But again, it's like I said, it's always in the red zone or in field goal position. Like, dude, you did a lot of good to get you in that position. The only thing that can kill you is the sack that takes you out of field goal range or the turnover. Just take the damn points. Be protective of the ball. Like I get your wide receivers aren't there, and Jahad Dotson is probably also dead, and John Ross in a 39 jersey. Well, that was a sight, you
I
know.
don't
Who
understand
knew that
this.
was coming? And Grant Calatara has gotten a lot of action.
I
And
hate
hell,
him.
Britton Covey, but we got to the point where Britton Covey was your best wide receiver throughout the season, which is very, very concerning. And I get these guys
He's
aren't getting
missed.
open. These guys can't get open and
Uh,
they're not getting open. But that's where, man, you got to be even more hyperactive. Like you really need to be more aware of what's going on. Like, is that the world we live in, where if it's not Devontae Smith and AJ Brown out there who get open quickly and they're really good at beating their man, that Jalen Hurts is ultimately going to fumble the ball? It's like if AJ Brown and Devontae Smith aren't out there and getting open right away because they're really good wide receivers, I am going to fumble the ball because I have no awareness of what's going to happen. I need someone to get open right away so I can get the ball out of my hand forcefully because the guy's wide open there. Because if I have to hold on to it longer, I will definitely fumble this ball.
and I think what makes it harder for me and probably you too is that we grew up watching Donovan McNabb go to NFC Championship games year after year with Todd Pinkston, Reggie Brown, and FedEx. And Jalen has AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, both top 15 wide receivers in the league. Now, granted, when they're both healthy and playing, like Jalen does look much better. But
But he shouldn't need
but
top 15 wide
I
receivers on his team to look good. Like
my
that is a problem. That is
my
a big problem right there.
my philosophy with quarterbacks has always been they make everyone around them better. So like for the longest time, Tom Brady really never had big. He had Gronk at one point. He had Randy Moss at one point, but he only ever really had like reliable player like Deion Branch. But like he never had like that like a top wide receiver really most of his career, I would argue. And so like he's a guy that I think is a good example. And then shit, even Carson Wentz. I'm gonna pull it up real quick because I saw a stat. I forget what year this was, but well, maybe it was 2019. Carson Wentz was the first player in NFL history to throw for 4,000 pass yards in a season without having a wide receiver go over 500 yards. That's called spreading the ball. I don't know what if
Yeah.
Jalen if it's a I think it's a combination of coaching. I think they don't get these players
Oh
ready.
yeah.
I don't
Well,
think they
I
have the
mean,
right game plan to get other wide receivers involved. But you cannot tell me that you have three wide receivers on the field. That's Johnny Wilson, Paris Campbell, Jahan Dotson, and then like get Dallas Scott or whatever. You can't tell me that none of those guys was getting open the entire game. There is no way none of them found an opening the entire game. That's just
well, I mean,
Jalen not being able to see the field.
that's
He doesn't
hardly
trust
the
them.
murderer's row of wide receivers.
I
I would
know,
say
but
going back to the coaching here.
they didn't even have
Take
Antoine Winfield Jr. Like the Bucks were missing players too. Like I
it's
still
something
like
it's
Jalen.
similar
I
to
still want
Fangio.
Jalen, but I need him to get serious. I need him to be better, and I'm not seeing it. It's frustrating.
It's similar to what I think the Fangio's problem is he's not adjusting to what he has. Clearly, he's lacking pass rushers, so his four-man front isn't working. Kellen Moore's offense, I feel like he's not adjusting for the fact that he's got, backups and guys I didn't even know were in the league playing wide receiver. Like work on some quick, easy things that gets them open. Do some more run pass option. That was what Doug did with Nick when he took over in that Super Bowl run. Did a lot of RPOs, get him comfortable, give him the chance to get the ball out quickly. I think they need to do that. This offense doesn't look like it's really changed at all. Like I feel like you're running the same
I,
offense
I'm
that you would with AJ Brown and
I've not
Devontae
been
Smith. You just don't have those guys.
I've not been impressed with Kellen Moore a single moment so far. I didn't like the signing when it happened, and I haven't been impressed. So
It-
should
it's
have
just you're not
gotten
adjusting.
Cliff
I
Kingsbury.
mean,
Look what he's doing with
Sirianni,
Jane Daniels in the Washington.
Sure. Sirianni is part of that too. Sirianni does make adjustments. They just don't adjust. And that's what's blamed. That was the problem last year is the problems they had week 1, 2, 3 were the same problems they had in 14, 15, 16. And it never changed. And the same thing. It's like, dude, work around what you got. You're missing all your skill players. Come up with something else. Run Saquon Barkley 30 times. I don't care. Do some like, hell, run the triple option. I just do something that isn't the same offense you would run if AJ Brown and Devontae Smith were out there because it's not going to work if you don't have AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. And I mean, ultimately, this all comes down to Jalen needs to get the ball out of his hands. He's got to stop fumbling, man. The fumbles, you cut his fumbles in half, they win. They'd probably be 4-0. Well, maybe not. They probably don't beat the Bucks, but they definitely beat the Falcons.
Yeah, I just he shouldn't need to he shouldn't need to throw the ball more than like 20, 25 times. They need to run it more with Saquon. I understand wanting to like keep him fresh for the rest of the season, but like he's not going to make it to the rest of the season if we're not in the playoffs, we're not pushing for a playoff spot because they're playing like idiots. But I don't know. It's just so I think the offense will get somewhat. I don't think it's going to be like last year. I think eventually it's going to click when everyone's getting healthy. Hopefully AJ Brown returns and it's not a nagging hamstring, but they're going to have to carry the defense because the defense I don't see getting sick. I think the offense can get much better from where they're at right now. I don't think the defense can get much better from where they're at. So I
No,
don't know.
defense, it's got a big problems. That's I think more of a personnel problem.
I don't
I
know.
think the offense is more, well, Jalen is the number one problem there. I think two is coaching. I think three is just health. The health problem. I mean, this week I think the health had more to do with anything. Still, Jalen's number one. I don't like that our coaches don't seem like they're adjusting to the situation they're in. Of course, you're never going to win a game with John Ross and Jahan Dotson and whoever they were having starting an offensive line. But like, you're not putting yourself in position to succeed.
At least show me a better effort. Like they just it looks like a carryover from last year. And we were promised change, and it looks the same.
Offense is tough, man. We'll get a better view after the bye when you're back and healthy. I mean, I think we went on a whole doom and gloom. We ripped them apart pretty good. So
Yeah, we
my
did.
therapy session's over. I'll look at the silver lining going forward. Arguably, I think you just went through the hardest part of your entire schedule, the way
Agreed.
it looks like now.
Yeah.
I think I think the Saints game we thought was going to be a rollover because we didn't think the Saints were going to be good. With clearly that was different. I think the Falcons, Saints, and Buccaneers fight for the playoffs the whole year. Same with the Packers. I think the
Yeah.
South Division actually looks a lot stronger than everyone thought. Coming out of the bye, you got the Browns, the Giants, the Bengals, and the Jaguars. Take the Bengals out. The Jags, Giants, and Browns look like the three worst teams in football.
Yeah.
They are awful. We looked at the Browns and the Jaguars games as being tough games. I think those are cakewalks now. They both look awful.
I will say that would
Bengals and
be
Cincy.
it would restore a lot of confidence in the city of Philadelphia if the Eagles came out against the Browns and won like 42 to 10. Like if they need one of these games to just explode and just show everyone what the offense is capable of, the defense play at least decent, get some turnovers. And that's the other thing. It's like we're turning the ball. What's crazy is even though Jalen's turning the ball over that much, it's actually and not just Jalen, but everyone else too. It's they're affecting us more than like not a lot of teams are capitalizing off of these turnovers. If you like a lot of field goals, a lot of like not doing anything with it and punting the ball back. It could be a lot worse, I think. I would think we've gotten
Well,
pretty
yeah, I mean,
lucky off points off
I
turnover against us, but
I think so. All right, so look at the schedule in quarters. We just got through the first quarter. We're in the bye. We're two
hmm,
and two. It all
it could
could,
be
man.
worse.
If Saquon Barkley catches that pass, this is a different
We could be 3 and
conversation.
1. Yeah.
Then we talk about, oh, you know what? All right, we got our ass handed to us, but we were missing, Lane, Devontae,
Right. It's
this
a
and
whole different
that.
conversation.
If Saquon Barkley just catches that pass, it's completely different. But
Crazy.
regardless, if Jalen Hurts cuts his fumbles in half, we're probably 4 now. But for another
Probably.
time. Now you go. So the first quarter's done, 2 and 2. Now you go into a point. This next quarter is huge. You cannot do anything but 3-1 or 4-0
I
because your
agree.
schedule after that gets tough. You have to win at least three of these games. It'd be nice to win four, but you have to win at least three. You have to beat the Browns, you have to beat the Giants, you have to beat the Jaguars because they all look like bottom feeder, terrible teams.
Yeah.
Like I don't know who the Browns play this week, but I mean, shit, if they lose whoever they're playing next week after they just lost to the Raiders, who got their ass handed to them by the Panthers, if the Browns are 0-5 going into Philadelphia off the bye, that has got to be a statement win.
That's a fireable
Has to
offense if they
be a
lose that
statement
game.
win. You have to make a statement that game. And then you make that statement, you carry the momentum, and you stomp the Giants like you know you can. If you get those two games confidently, don't make this look ugly. That is the thing what's killing them, is they don't look good.
Yeah.
Then you can go into Cincy and make a game, I think. Jaguars, like you said, that should be a win. They don't look good. Now you go into probably your hardest part of your season. You can make an argument for the first four games. The way this one's looking is going to be tough. Go to Dallas. Dallas doesn't look good, but it's in Dallas. That's going to be tough. Suddenly, the Commanders look like a very good team because then you're going to get the Commanders off a short week on Thursday night in Philly, but still the Commanders look good and it's a Thursday night, not going to be an easy game. Because then next you have at LA Rams, at Baltimore, two tough games. I think the Rams will be healthy by then. Puka and Cup are probably both back. The offensive line's a little healthier. Assuming the Rams get some guys back, that's a tough game. So what do you like? 2-2? I think you have to go. If you can win, if you win the Commanders Cowboys game, you can drop the Rams and Ravens game without problem.
I already said before the season started, I think they split with the Commanders and they split with Dallas, and then they sweep the Giants. So I still stick by that.
Well, because then you finish. I mean, that's gonna be a tough schedule. Just pull two games there, and then you finish. Panthers should be a W. Steelers, I don't think they're very good. That should be a W. You go to Washington, play them, see what happens. Then you play the Cowboys, and then you finish with the Giants at home. Your biggest thing. I know this isn't the hardest point. This is probably your easiest point of the schedule, the next four games. But man, you have to look good. I would say the next 2 weeks off the bye are the most important games of the season.
And I would what I would say in response to that though is like if this team is gonna win games by now like looking playing like they did the first four games and just kind of like getting by but not really looking great, I'd rather they just lose and we get like
No, you have to
a good draft
stomp
pick.
on the Browns
Yeah,
coming out of it.
I don't
You
want
have to
no
stomp on the
I
Giants.
don't want no skippy like cheapy win because then you're gonna get to the playoffs and do nothing just like last year. Don't waste anyone's
Oh,
time.
if you lose to the Giants or the Browns and then don't look good in the other one, I give
Oh,
up on the
we're
season.
yeah.
It's over.
If they lose, I'm not even gonna lie. Well, it's see, but Lurie's not that kind of owner. But I like if they lost to the Browns after the bye and all that,
Oh, you can't
I
do
would
that.
fire
No.
Sirianni. You have to at
I'm
that
not
point.
a fan of firing coaches in season. It's just it's
I,
putting up the white
I
flag.
know, but
It when
that's
is it ever who is replacing him? Fangio, who I think at this point in his career purposely took this defense coordinator job because he has no interest in being head coach, or Kellen Moore, who honestly he gives me more Sirianni vibes than offensive genius. I'm
I
not firing Sirianni. I like if we suck, then fine. Sirianni finishes the year and we cut bait and you start talking to Bill Belichick in week 14.
really don't want Bill Belichick.
I take Bill Belichick.
Take yeah, I'd rather take Vrabel and see what he can
They
do
would
with
never.
actual
I mean,
talent.
Vrabel, we'll see. I mean, they'll never take Bill Belichick because that means Howie's got to go back, and that's never going to happen.
Back in his closet. All
I
right, I
just,
think
man, that
I
this they better come out strong. If you're going to be healthy, they better smash the Browns. That's all I want. I'll let this go. If you're 2-2, the season's not over. Saquon Barkley catches the pass. We say we're very good going into the bye. But man, you better smash the Browns. You better
that's
take everything out you have on the Browns.
we're gonna end it on this with the Eagles because we've already spent way too much time. I sticking by it. If I don't see them win by like three scores against the Browns, if you got AJ, Devontae, and Lane all back and healthy, I need a dominant win against a very struggling Browns team. It's just I don't know where that Eagles team is that used to just destroy people. Used to get out early. They were like the highest scoring first half team in like almost in history, and then would just run the ball, and then got all the way to the Super Bowl. I don't know where that team is. I don't know where that Jalen Hurts is, who he looks. I don't know what happened to him, but he's much. If you watch his 2022 highlights, he's a lot slower. I don't know if he's just
I
not.
don't. Is he hurt? He did not look normal running basketball in the Buccaneers game. I forgot about
He
that.
hasn't looked besides like one or two runs this season when he was running like vertical. He has not looked fast at all, to be honest.
No, he looks very clunky.
Clunky's a good word. He needs to like
Yeah, he's
get some
got
of
no
that Diddy
fluidity.
oil him up or something because he's
Yeah,
not.
he looks like a toddler learning how to walk.
But all right, that's my piece on the Eagles. I don't think we've hit the nail on the head enough, whatever that phrase is. Okay. Elsewhere, I mean, like, and we just bitched about the Eagles being 2-2, but there are a lot of teams in the league that are also in that same predicament. Almost an identical team, I would argue, with probably a little less expectations and talent, but the Jets are like the New York version of the Eagles, where
So overrated.
everyone wants to
So
fire the
overrated.
coach. They're 2-2. They look like shit. Um, I do think Salah is overrated. I don't think he's done anything
I think the
with that
Jets are
team.
red. Thinking that Aaron Rodgers is going to stroll in and then they would be great. I don't know. Aaron Rodgers, he's a bum. He's
But
overrated.
uh stat stat of the year. The Broncos beat the Jets 10-9. Bo Nix threw 25 times. He had 12 completions for 60 yards. 60 yards. He threw for 60 yards and they won. How's that possible? 12 times for 60 yards. What does that come out to? That's a
5 yards pass.
that's terrible.
That's like a rushing stat. That's a good rushing
That
day.
12 for 60, yeah. Oh my God. And like Javante Williams had 77 rush yards and Cortland Sutton. Wait, wait, wait. How did Cortland Sutton have three catches for 60 yards, but Bo Nix only threw for 60 yards? He must have gotten sacked a lot. Oh my
I don't
God.
know. He caught every single
He got
one.
sacked five times, so all that negative yards, yeah. But
Yeah,
the
the
Jets
Jets
had
suck.
13 penalties for 90 yards. Oh my God. What a day. All right. Besides them, who else lost? So Cowboys beat the Giants on Thursday night. They still look kind of iffy. Bengals rebounded. They beat the Panthers, but hey, Panthers made it close at the end. Um, Falcons beat the Saints in a pretty. The Falcons, man, Falcons fans are probably tired of this shit already because every game is like a last minute hoorah. Like they won last minute against the Birds. They almost won last minute against the Chiefs. They won last minute against the Saints on a 60 some yard field goal, I think it was. Um, so their their blood pressure is probably through the roof. Um,
Ironically, you know what? I got to be honest. The South and the North look like the best divisions in the NFC. I thought they would be the two worst, but they look like the two best right now.
it is interesting. Um, Jaguars almost got their first win, but they couldn't hold on to their lead, and the Texans came back and won 24-20.
That's a bad loss for them. I mean,
I
I know they have this is their fourth loss, but jeez, that was rough.
I feel for Dougie P. Man, they're just nothing's clicking.
I can't, yeah, like I can't really pinpoint where this team sucks so much, but they are bad.
Kind of like
They they lost to the Browns. The Browns season is hanging by a thread because they managed to beat the Jaguars.
they're kind of like the Eagles, where they had talent in places that they thought were going to be, good, and then it's just not panning out. But
Man, the Eagles look great compared to this. I take everything back I said about the Eagles if you want to compare them to the Jaguars. Just
I'll
this is tough.
I really don't want to have to stand on this ground right here, but I know the Chiefs are still 4-0, but I make an argument that the Vikings are the best team in the NFL right now. I mean, they just beat the Packers. They were destroying the Packers, and then they let the Packers catch up. So they only won by like 3 points. But interesting, Malik Willis is 2-0 and Jordan Love is 0-2.
Yeah,
But Sam Darnold's him and Josh Allen. I mean, Josh Allen took a loss, so I would say Sam Darnold is probably your MVP favorite right now. Kind of fucking
crazy.
wild. But
Things I wouldn't expect to hear. Sam Darnold MVP conversation, and I miss Jonathan Gannon. What world are we living
what a
in?
world. Colts gave the Steelers their first L. They won 27-24. Um, the Bears beat the Rams on the DeAndre Swift game. I think he had like 160 total yards of scrimmage. Pretty good for him. They won 24-18. I mean, the Rams are decimated with injury. Like, this is a very injury riddled year early on already for the entire league.
That's what happens when you don't practice.
Yeah. Um, 49ers took care of the Patriots 30-13. I mean, I gave him a lot of shit, but Brock Purdy's playing well with, I mean, I think Kittle was back. I don't know if I think Debo was back too. So he had his weapons back, but um Commanders absolutely thrashed the Cardinals 42-14. I thought the Cardinals were going to be more competitive after those first few games, but I guess not.
Who are you surprised that Jaden Daniels looks like what we thought Caleb Williams would look like? Because Caleb Williams does not look good.
I didn't think Caleb Williams was going to look good out the gate, but I didn't think Jane Daniels. I thought when we did our preview
He
episode, I said Commanders and Cardinals I thought were going to be better than people think they are, but I didn't think he would be this good already.
man, like he's got like what an 80% completion percentage. Like as a rookie, that's
Yeah,
nuts.
I mean a lot of they're good coaching. They're scheming a lot of short throws for him, a lot of like underneath stuff, a lot of things to get him the ball out quick. But he's still hitting. Like I can still see that throw against the Bengals to Scary Terry, where he just my God put in a basket for him over the shoulder. It
Yeah.
was beautiful, but it's weird. I like kind of like watching him and rooting for him, but I'm like, damn, you are a rival, and I can't have you doing well. So, but um,
Yeah, he looks good, man. He looks really good. I mean, he looks like a veteran out there. He doesn't make rookie mistakes. Like he completes the ball when it's there. He gets it there. He's very accurate. If it's not there, he takes off. Like, he's got a feel for the pocket. Maybe Jalen can learn.
now I know we give Jalen we gave him a lot of shit this episode, but I want to point out one stat real quick. So Jalen's completion percent after 4 games, 68.2%. He has 930 passing yards, 6 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, an 85.7 QB rating, and obviously a shit ton of fumbles. There's another quarterback in the league who has a completion percentage right now through 4 games of 68.6, so barely better. 904 yards, so less than Jalen. 6 touchdowns, same as Jalen. 5 interceptions, more than Jalen, and a QB rating of 89.7. Do you know who this quarterback is?
Mm, no. It's Brock Purdy.
Patrick Mahomes.
Oh.
So, yes, doom and gloom and the fumbles are a
Whoa,
concern.
whoa, whoa. Hold on, hold on. I'm not going to
Let
let
me
you slide with
finish.
that.
Let me
No, no,
finish.
no. All right, fine. Go ahead. Do not, you know what? No, no, no. I'm not going to, you know what? No. Because you know what? He can win with whoever goes up. They let Tyreek Hill go. Juju Smith land. Rasheed reached, blew out his knee. Travis Kelsey's looking older. But you know what? They're also 4-0. He just keeps winning. I don't want to hear nothing. I don't get out of here with this. Get out of here with this nonsense.
Even let me speak.
I don't care. I don't want to hear it.
What I was gonna say is there's always, another way to look at it, whereas we're on the losing end of these games. Mahomes, while he hasn't been playing well, he's still finding a way to win. But again,
You know what? You
they
know what
could
the only
easily be
part
0-4 though. They have not looked good.
But you
But
know what? The only part of that actually matters is that they're 4-0.
I know, but I'm just
Because I
giving
could
it.
take the argument that it's even more impressive that this guy managed to keep winning games with Hollywood Brown not playing, and he just lost Rasheed Rice, and he still keeps winning.
I I'm not again. I'm
Jalen
not.
doesn't have AJ Brown and Lane Johnson, Devontae Smith show up, and he looks like he can't win a game.
It was a double-edged sword example,
Yeah, I'm sure.
and we already spent too much time on Jalen Eagles. Anyways, Chiefs won against the Chargers 17-10. There's a funny video going around of any quarterback who plays the Chiefs at some point just throws his helmet against the bench or against the ground, and Justin Herbert was added to this reel, slamming his helmet against the bench. So,
Hmm, a fun
um,
fact.
speaking of the Browns, Raiders beat them 20-16. I don't even know who played quarterback in this game. Um, apparently the opposite happened of what the Browns have been doing. Deshaun Watson actually played decent, but the offensive line was struggling a lot. So
Well, they
you
were
can't
hurt.
can't have, yeah, I know, but can't have one thing without the other. So, um,
Yeah.
Ravens dominated the Bills 35-10. It really wasn't even that close of a game. Bills looked like they were going to come back here and there, and then the Ravens just stomped on their throats. But for as good as the Ravens look, they're also 2-2. So, but they have a lot more promising 2-2 than the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, they just bushwhacked arguably the best team of football on national
Yeah,
TV.
yeah. And then we saw, so we're recording this on a Monday before the Monday night game. So those games have not happened yet. It's Titans, Dolphins, and Seahawks, Lions. But that is a wrap on week 4 games. So we have, of course, our studs and duds since we started on the nasty Eagles. Why don't you give us the duds first so we can end on a happy note?
Nope, smart move. I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, I know I've given, well, this team as a whole has been just a disaster, and I've given more credit or more blame, rightfully so, to Aaron Rodgers. But you know what? Obviously, the Jets, they couldn't score at all, so it's hard to blame all of it on Aaron Rodgers. And trust me, I would like to go out of my way to blame it on him whenever I can. But you had other superstar players in your offense, and they haven't done anything. So the team went up and only put up 9 points. But the opening drive of the game had your superstar wide receiver fumble the ball away, which kind of just sets the tone poorly, got to be honest. So even on a poor day, he only had 5 catches for 41 yards. He was, yeah, yardage behind Mike Williams and Alan Lazard. Supposed to be your superstar. The
Hmm.
fumble kind of wrote the story without with the rest of the game. So Garrett Wilson finds a spot on the dud list here. But really, this could be a team effort. But you know, when your star player fumbles the ball on the first drive and you only manage to score 9 points after that, it's kind of an omen almost.
I thought I was being told that that Garrett Wilson was the next big thing when we did our wide receivers episode. Hmm?
Okay, yeah, have
Hmm?
your moment, relax. You also told me
Hmm?
the Carolina Panthers are going 9-7, so let's
There's
relax
still
there.
hope.
Yeah. All right, moving on. The Jets have been by far a complete disappointment, and you know that's team coaching and everything in between. But they still have 2 wins, which you know, give them credit. They still have 2 wins in all
Sure.
those and how ugly they've looked. This has got to be the most disappointing team in the NFL by far. I think there's only how many? There's only I think there's only one winless team right now, if
Jags?
I'm correct. Yeah. And you know what? The Jaguars are the only team that doesn't have a win. Oh, I apologize. The Titans, as of right now, don't have a win.
Oh,
Because the Browns, who only have one win, have looked disastrous, managed to knock off the Jags, but the Jags have looked awful from start to finish. You really can't put your finger on what is so bad about them. Yeah, Trevor Lawrence looks like a mess, but we kind of always, this is the Trevor Lawrence we've gotten used to. The defense can't stop anyone. But as a whole, this team just doesn't look competitive or look like has any cohesion or anything, any idea what it's doing. And Dougie P, man, for as good of a coach as he is and his respect he is, this team looks like a complete disaster. I don't see him fixing this. I gotta be honest. I hate to say it. Dougie seems like the most likely choice to get fired.
yeah.
And I mean, I just said I hate the midseason coach fires. But for a team like the Jaguars, they just gave 50 million a year or 55 million a year to Trevor Lawrence, and they fall down so much like this. It might make the most sense to get rid of Doug and start looking for a coach before anyone else and find a guy that's going to save Trevor Lawrence. Because, man, this is looking rough. I don't see it getting fixed. The team top to bottom doesn't look good. They look
No.
lost. So Dougie P finds himself at our second dud here. Moving on to our first dud here. Dakota, did you know
Hmm.
that 2 coaches this past Sunday were playing against their former team, who is also paying them to play against them?
I did not.
So this is a joint effort, as we say,
Okay.
for the dud list. So our dud list right now is going to feature $2 billion owners because Michael Bidwell of the Arizona Cardinals and Woody Johnson, I'm sorry, I apologize. Woody Johnson of the New York Jets,
Hmm.
they both paid former coaches to beat them this week. Bidwell paid Cliff Kingsbury to beat him this week, and Woody Johnson just paid, or I apologize, Woody Johnson, it was the other way around. I apologize. So ignore the Woody Johnson one. I'll take that one away. Michael Bidwell sits there by myself because I forgot I was backwards on that.
Okay.
This is one of those things I had the montage planned before I actually like, put thought
Did
into it.
this
But
did the
yeah.
actual stats? Yeah, yeah.
So Michael Bidwell, owner of the Arizona Cardinals. Hard to get a full figure on this, but reports are he paid Cliff Kingsbury a full 5 million this year. Because
Hmm.
obviously he signed that 6 year extension in I want to say 22. And with that 5 million Kingsbury got paid this year, he went and beat the Arizona Cardinals, obviously with the Commanders, where he's the new offense coordinator.
Hmm.
So I mean, everyone hates owners and they can say whatever they want, but you really got to look in the mirror if you're paying someone 5 mil to beat your team. So Michael Bidwell finds himself in the sole position of our number one on the dud list.
Speaking of those commanders, would if I told you that they were the number two highest scoring offense in the league, would you believe me?
Yeah, surprisingly.
Would you believe me before the season?
Absolutely not. Of course not.
I think right now the Bills have scored 122 points, though Commanders have scored 121. They are the top
Yeah, I
two.
mean, it's very odd. Very odd. Two teams you would
Yes.
expect to not be very good offensively. But hey, look, Michael Bidwell's paying Cliff Kingsbury $5 million a year. So it's clearly he's getting, I guess, his
Two
investment.
non-players in the Duds list. Look at that.
Hey man, this is what happens when your team is 0-4 and you were supposed to and your quarterback's just got a $50 million contract and you can't win a game. And then
Right?
I mean, come on, that was a fun stat. He's paying him 5 million to beat his own team this week. That's a fun stat. Like he probably, I would assume, do you think coaches get game checks?
Say
Or do
what?
you think they just get paid? Like, do you think they get a game check like the players, or they just get paid like a salary?
I have no idea. It's probably just a salary.
Because like in a crazy world, Michael Bidwell maybe signs a check today, yesterday, Saturday, whatever. And then
To
Cliff
Cliff
Kingsbury
Kingsbury.
literally, yeah, thanks for beating us to Cliff
Uh,
Kingsbury. Like it almost in a different situation, you would think an owner of an opposing team paying the other team's coach, take away all the situation. You would think that this maybe be a gambling thing.
you never know. You never know. Right. And who are our studs?
Third stud here in a game that was back and forth. This guy stepped up, hell of a stat line, going 12 receptions, 151 yards, and a tutty. That's
Hmm.
some real playmaking ability. And no, it wasn't Jahan Dotson or John Ross, surprisingly. Nico Collins showing that, I'm still number one, baby. And the Stephon Diggs or not.
Leading
I'm
the
not
league.
going anywhere.
He's leading the league in
Yeah,
receiving yards.
he's really balling out. He's doing good. CJ Stroud's spreading the ball around. Diggs hasn't, yelled and complained and threatened to quit yet, so that's good. But it's almost there.
Yeah, there's still time.
But we talked about this guy quite a lot already, and it kind of pains me, but he looks like the real deal. Put on another hell of a display. I think he went over 40 points again, back to back weeks. But I mean, 26 to 30, which is insane because it was like the completion rating is like the best through 4 games since like '07 Brady. And this guy's doing it as a rookie. So for 26,
See,
32, 33, and a tutty, did throw an interception, but I guess we'll let him off. I'm going with Jaden Daniels, who did also manage to put a touchdown on the ground. But really looks dude looks like a franchise quarterback and looks
it's better than Caleb.
Commanders are going to be 23 Texans, yes or no?
Well, that was my one of my too much whiz questions, but I think so. Well, I don't think they'll be as good. I think they'll have a fall off, but I think they'll push for a wild card spot. I don't think they're gonna.
I don't know. Us and the Cowboys look like ass, so maybe they'll win the division.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be the first time
They'll
that
be in,
happened.
they'll be in contention. Moving on to our number one stud, and I got to be honest, we've been doing this studs and dud list for 3, 4 years, I want to say. And if you look at the historically the most number one studs
Hmm.
through time, it has to be Derrick Henry. Just looking back at
Hmm.
the list, like if I
Hmm.
just had to pick one, like I can just think of so many times where I picked him number one. And right on cue, 24 carries, 199 yards. Like, can we get him out there one more time just for 200? Like, what was up with that?
Can we
And a tutty,
can we phone in
really.
to Mr. uh Mike Fleury about Derrick Henry's supposed drop off when he is leading the league in rushing touchdowns and top five in rushing yards and that. That 80-yard run was one of the most terrifying things I've ever seen in my life. Like he made the Bills players look like children. Like he looked like
Oh
he
yeah.
was running away from kids at a party. Like
The worst
he
take, the
is
worst take in
so
sports
big and so fast. It's
has
crazy.
been everyone that thinks Derrick Henry is going to be falling off in the last 3 years. He just proves them wrong every single game.
Yep,
And man, the Ravens looked a lot better.
they
They
did.
didn't pass so much. They went on the ground. I mean, the game got a little out of hand quickly.
Yeah,
Lamar only had 18 attempts.
that's all he
Derrick
needs.
Henry had 24 carries.
Yeah.
This is a run heavy offense. Like don't get it twisted. You have Derrick Henry. Stop throwing pass the ball. But yeah, so nearly 200 yards passing, 8.3 yard average,
Rushing.
and a tutty that one for 87. Welcome back to the top, King. Derrick Henry is number one stud this week.
Yeah, he's something else. But all right. Quick, too much whiz. Like I said, the one was you already kind of hit on it, but um, I guess too much whiz. Are Jane Daniels and the Washington Commanders going to finish the season and be this year's Houston Texans?
I'm buying in that they'll stay competitive. I want to see it first. Jaden's looks great, but I still think the Texans had a better team overall. So we'll see what happens. Daniels looks good, but you need to see some other players step up first.
All right. Uh, too much whiz between the Jacksonville Jaguars, uh, Philadelphia Eagles, New York Jets. One of those teams will fire their head coach before the season ends.
I'm gonna say yes. I really think unless something drastically changes, Dougie's getting canned. Sirianni won't. I just don't see it happening. That means they would give up on the season. They're not going to do that.
Mm,
Salah, I think he gets fired in the offseason. Again, you have Aaron Rodgers. This could be his last year. Firing a coach in the middle of the season wouldn't be a good idea unless Rodgers wanted to do it. I mean, maybe he wants Hackett take over, but Hackett was so bad as a head coach. I can't see it. The Jags, I mean, listen, if you fire Doug, you look at, all right, we have the first chance to find a guy to get fix Trevor Lawrence. I don't know who their OC is, but you probably let him take over. And your holy priority in the offseason is fix Trevor Lawrence because we tied up a ton of money. It's not like the Panthers who needed Canals to come fix Bryce Young. There was nothing besides all the draft picks they gave up to tied to him. They're tied to Trevor Lawrence. He's not going anywhere. He's not getting benched. I just hate to see it, but they're also in the worst situation. I mean, the Jets and Eagles are 2-2. The Jags don't have a win yet.
yeah. Um, and then the final too much whiz. The the Chiefs' injuries at wide receiver will actually impact them this year, and we'll see it.
No,
No? Okay.
no, no. They'll
I
be
mean,
fine.
they've escaped it many years.
They've won
And
two Super Bowls with, no name wide receivers. They'll be fine.
okay. All right. Okay, moving on to game picks. So, like we said, the we got two Monday night games on now, so we won't have results for those. But I actually was doing really well this week compared to last week. Somehow I went 8-8 every week this year so far. But
You're
through
an average guy.
thanks through the first 14 games, I only have three losses this week. And of course, this is the one week I didn't bet any money line or spreads. So, um, you had one, two, three, four, five losses so far, and Flurry has one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight losses.
What a buffoon.
Yeah. So, I'm looking good. You're looking okay. Guest picks, Flurry not looking too hot. So, without further ado, let's get right to the game. So, week 5, no birds. They're on their bye. I don't know who else is on a bye. I guess we'll find out. But Thursday night, we got the Bucks and the Falcons basically playing for not too little early to say for first place, but pretty important game, I would say. Who do you got?
Take away the Browns, or I'm sorry, the Broncos, which I think was an anomaly. The Buccaneers have looked really good all year. I'll take the Bucks.
Just to be different, it's in Atlanta. I'll take the Falcons. Um, Jets at the Vikings. This is interesting.
Sam Darnold revenge game, baby.
Oh
Let's go.
man.
Sam Darnold brings it back and just dumps it all over the Jets.
If it was in New York, I might pick the Jets, but it's in Minnesota, so I'm gonna take the Vikings. That's a lot of revenge games. We had Malik.
It's
Um,
actually in London. Does that change your
oh, it's
pick?
in London.
Yeah.
Oh, it's at 9:30 in the morning. Damn. No, I'll still take Vikings. Jets are a little mess. I mean, the Jets, like, I mean, I know, we talked about Rodgers and Salah, but like, I mean, you had Garrett Wilson on your does list, but like him and Brees Hall have been kind of mediocre so far this
A lot
year.
of talent, a lot of losses.
Uh, Panthers at the Bears.
I'm not buying the Panthers. I don't care if they won one game. Doesn't matter. They're still stink. They're not a good team. Still taking Chicago.
Um, I need them to get 9 wins, so I'll take the Panthers.
That's something I'm going to hear all season.
We got the Browns and the Commanders. Um, I'm not gonna lie to you. This is a very selfish pick. I'm gonna take the Browns to upset the Commanders.
Go
Uh,
ahead.
just because that way the Browns don't go into the Eagles game with like, oh my God, we're desperate, we need a win. They'll get another win, and then we'll look a little better. So
I still think they'll be desperate. The Commanders look much better than the Browns do. I'm taking the Browns. Or I'm sorry, the Commanders.
Dolphins at the Patriots.
Yeesh.
This has become a toilet bowl.
God,
Dolphins.
listen, you know what? I gotta say, one of the most impressive players this year is Jacoby Brissett. That guy is the true pro. He is a true pro because he's getting the shit kicked out of him.
He really
And
is. He's just a punching bag.
Gerard Mayo came out this week and he said absolutely no chance of change. Like, oh boy.
They don't want
Jacoby
Drake May
Brissett.
getting injured before he has a chance to like
Listen, it's a good
play.
move. Give him credit. Give him
What?
credit. It's a good move.
Let the old guy take the beatings.
Like they're not falling for the trap. Like, oh, we're not winning games. Let's rush the rookie out there. Let's win some games. Like they're not going to ruin it. They already know this season's a loss. Jacoby, listen, we'll throw a couple more on the signing bonus, but you are going to get your shit kicked
Yeah.
every single day.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take. I'll take the Dolphins. I think the
Okay.
Dolphins need to get. I'm gonna assume the Dolphins figure out a quarterback situation a little bit better by the next week.
I'm going to assume the opposite because their defense has also been really disappointing. So I'm going to take the Patriots at home. Colts and the Jags. Good Lord. I don't know. Is Anthony Richardson, did he return to the game or no? I saw Joe Flacco finished. I didn't even know he was on the Colts.
Joe Flacco, baby. I'm going Joe Flacco. I don't. I doubt Richardson plays. He looked like he was pretty banged up. If Joe Flacco plays, I'm actually more confident in them winning. Joe, let's go, baby. I'm going Joe.
So besides the Vikings game, I've been different. We've had different picks. So might as well keep it going. I'm going to go with the Jags. Um, Bills at the Texans.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
In Houston, I don't know how much of a home field advantage Houston has, but I think the Bills rebound. I think they get back on track.
I wasn't super high in the Bills going into the season. I was surprised when we came out 3-0.
Good
It's a tough
coaching.
stretch, don't get me wrong. I mean, they played Baltimore. That's a tough game in Baltimore. And then you're going to Houston. It's a tough stretch. I think that they're gonna come to earth a little bit more. I'm taking
Okay.
Texans.
So we're still not on the same. That's good. This will be a lot of parity when these results are done. Ravens at the Bengals. Oof.
Something about me really wants to take the Bengals here,
I am
but I don't have much
uh
confidence in it. They didn't really look good in
I
that game they
know.
won.
I'm kind of in the same boat as you. I think the Ravens should win, but Bengals just
I'm
still seem off.
They do. I'll take the Ravens. They look like they're figuring it out.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna roll with that too.
Something makes me think that they're just going to get run all over.
Raiders at the Broncos. Good Lord.
Oh boy, that's a game I don't want to watch.
Tune in 4 o'clock.
I can't think of a strong argument for either of these teams to win.
I
Like
will say the
I,
Broncos defense has been pretty damn good, but like they've
Broncos 3-game winning streak. Are we riding it? Fuck it, I'll ride it. 3-game winning streak. Why not?
okay. I'll take I was gonna say Oakland. I'll take the Raiders then. Um Then the next game we got dun, da, da, Cardinals at the 49ers. I would love to pick an upset, but I just don't see it.
Cardinals just don't. They're starting to look like the team that I kind of thought they were, and that's not very good. So I'll take the Niners.
Yeah. I'll also be taking the Niners. Giants at Seattle. Yeah.
Seattle.
Yeah. We don't know what's going to happen with Seattle and Detroit yet, but I still think no matter what, Seattle is going to win that one. The Packers at the Rams. Hmm.
The Rams are so banged up. They had that nice win against the Niners, but I think that was a division team. They got rallied for. McVay loves to make Shanahan look stupid. I just think the Rams are in too tight of a spot to win actual meaningful games. I'll take the Packers.
I think they're just too hurt still. So I'll also take the Packers. Um, Cowboys at the Steelers. Sunday Night Football. They love putting Cowboys on Sunday Night Football.
You know what? I'm going to just buy in. The Cowboys look rough. They just look at their body language. Look how pissed off Jerry Jones looks. Like they just look rough. I'm taking the Steelers, and I can't wait for them to beat the Cowboys on Sunday Night Football. Because when the Eagles are on a bye, the best thing you can ask for is a Cowboys loss.
Okay. I'm gonna take the Cowboys. Um, just I don't think Steelers are legit, but and then Saints at the Chiefs. This is my remember last year I used to do my upsets of the week. This could be my upset of the week.
Hmm.
Saints to beat the Chiefs because they're on a little losing streak. They need to rebound. Chiefs are battling some injuries now, so take the Saints.
The Chiefs just win games.
I know
When they lose one, I'll pick against them, but
it's
I'll keep it
Andy.
going.
It's Andy Reid.
They just win games.
But all right, well that's a wrap on those games. Can't really do power rankings yet without the Monday night games ending, so we'll save that for a later post. But um, safe to say Vikings and Chiefs at the top, and Eagles will not be in the top 10, I would argue. They have not
Yeah.
looked like a top 10 team. Hell, they'll be replaced by the Commanders. Probably put the
Yeah,
Commanders in the
that's
top 10.
true.
But all right,
All righty.
off week for the birds, off week for our stress levels. So till next time.
Go Phils.
Go Fab. Absolutely. Go Phils. Peace.